Hello and welcome to Finextra TV. I'm Hannah Wallace and we're here at NextGen Nordics in Stockholm. Stepping away from the busy event is Anders Olofsson from Tietoevry. Anders, great to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Likewise, Hannah. Has been a while.
It has been a while indeed, and looking forward to speaking to you, especially as we're speaking off the back of some significant news about the P27 setback. A really interesting one and really set the scene for the event. So it'd be interesting to get your standpoint on that, what you think that means for the Nordic region and also the banks and the fintechs. Views?
First of all, I understand that the entire undertaking P27 has been enormous. We've seen a few domestic infrastructure projects failing, and we see the extension of timelines of NPA in the UK. I recall as well the central bank in Sweden running the RTGS system implementation for many years. So it's been a huge undertaking, and obviously the aspirational level has been declining over the last few months or quarters. So obviously it's a great disappointment to the industry because we spent a lot of energy, banks have spent a lot of time and investments, not only P27 themselves, but also to harmonize their IT infrastructure. But I think that contrary to what many commentators are saying, I think that this yields a great opportunity for the Nordic industry and Sweden specifically to really embrace the instant payment. I think that we were looking at P27 predominantly delivering a new batch and file payment processing. Also, they had the aspiration of instant payment, but it focused and narrowed down on the batch processing and as well having the cross-border element. Whilst, in all honesty, I think that would we been implementing P27 for batch, probably that would be in the de facto system for the next 20 to 30 years because the current system running in Sweden roots back to the 60s. And I think that given the evolution of the market and the increasing demands from end customers for innovative solutions and also the real-timeness, I think that this yields a great opportunity for banks now to truly embrace instant as something that is in place that they could actually start adopting at scale beyond the current Swish, which is a P2P solution predominantly, some merchant adoption, but it's predominantly a P2P solution. I think that having that foundation of an instant payment is a great opportunity, but it also calls for a significant mindset change for the banks.
Yeah. That's right, and let's talk about some of those opportunities surrounding instant payments for the European banks then. What are some of those opportunities and what are the sort of strategies that are needed then to be employed to make the most of them?
So firstly, I think that retail banking, we are getting used to the online and the real-timeness, and I think that whenever we do a money transfer, we expect that onlineness, and I think that very limited focus has been put on the SME and the large corporate market in driving innovation around the payments and account information. And I think that as also a lot of fintechs are taking center stage and predominantly addressing the retail use cases, I think that now it gives an opportunity for banks to reset their cash management and transaction service strategy in that how do they want to offer products to corporates going forward, whether that would be for lending, for liquidity management, for payments itself, that ability now to truly adopt real-time payments. I think that banks have this opportunity to transform their strategy, their product strategy, which then going to have a ripple effect on their operating model. And I can talk about that later, but that also going to change their entire way of doing operations. And as an example, I think that we treat files today as a batch payment, and I think that there's a great opportunity for banks to be adding advisory services to corporates in that how do you really want to deal with this payment? We may choose to use it as an instant payment clearing, however it's marketed and branded as a file-based payments, but we choose as a bank to clear it centrally in real time. And I think that that entire movement on offering better treasury services to corporates, to offer better cash management services, that banks have kind of stuck to the assumption of we're going to have a P27, we're going to transform and improve the capabilities on files, but it will still be, to me, old tech and old school way of doing payments, whilst we want to move into online and real time. And now I think banks partly going to be forced, but also as an opportunity to adopt that new normal.
Some really positive insights there already, and some good advice weaved in there. I'm interested now to get your perspective on overlay services and value-added services as well. What's your thoughts on those?
So I think that whilst you can drive the existing current business onto real time, I think that the overlay services, the way we look at bill payments and request to pay, especially in combination, I think that is an excellent way to, at least for P27, to kind of leapfrog what we were trying to do with P27, move into the new bill payments, a new technology, API driven, enabling cloud, and actually drive then inherently real-time payments as a connection to the bill payments. I think that unfortunately with the setback of P27, there may be some delay from their initiatives, but I'm pretty sure we're soon going to see other private initiatives offering these kind of solutions on the market. Because the problem as well is that there's a lot of fintechs out there that like to do and love to get into the business of dealing with these invoices. They're not going to use the standardized way of doing their presentment. It's going to be extremely fragmented. So I think that banks needs to find someone that can facilitate that and to centralize it and to enable a proxy service, confirmation of payee, and all these services needed as value-added services. And I think that the risk, and I believe the bank sees that, of having fintechs coming in, running their own gig, moving into their proprietary solutions or their isolated solution without getting the benefit of economy of scale from a centralized solution. So I think that, or I hope for, someone to enter into the market saying that we're going to do it. We may do it bilateral, maybe maybe 2 or 3 banks saying that, all right, we have enough critical mass, we're going to adopt the overlay services, we're going to utilize instant payment, and we'll drive it. You join us or you do whatever you want, but I think that they should see the business opportunity to enter into at least bilateral agreements. And that's what we're going to see in the Nordics, whilst in Europe, obviously EBA is driving with some resistance because it's a complex infrastructure. There's many countries with their own domestic solutions. But I think that now in the Nordics, again being positive, I think that it yields a great opportunity for banks to grasp this business opportunity. Would they get their strategy right?
It's a really interesting outlook there, and a positive one at that. Anders, thank you so much for your really interesting thoughts there. I look forward to speaking further down the line and reflecting on those predictions, but I'll let you get back to the event. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anna.